What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel. And as we are here on NFL Championship Sunday, go Chiefs, I figured what better way than to continue our early 2020 NFL draft prep by taking a look at my top 10 running backs for the upcoming draft. I'm going to go through their stats. I'm going to go through where I think they'll get drafted. I have a pro comparison for each one of these players, as well as where I think they will best fit. Now, this is only the second stage of my rankings. Once the combine, once all the bowl games have completed, the Senior Bowl, we're still waiting for that. That's when I can finally tweak these ratings. Maybe you guys can shift up, down, or two. Or maybe someone out of the blue runs a 4.10 and they're 297 pounds and they're made in Madden and it's a stupid challenge video. But I feel fairly comfortable right now with my top 10 because we had to wait and we had the big news that Travis Etienne, the Clemson running back, was returning. Chuba Hubbard, my Canadian brethren, is returning to Oklahoma State. Najee Harris going back to Alabama. This running back draft class has got purged. It's still a solid draft class. Still lots of nice, talented running backs, but it could have been 10 times stronger than what it was. So without further ado, we have some honorable mentions that we have to talk about before we jump into the top 10. I like Tavian Feaster out of South Carolina, Salvin Ahmed from Washington, and Pete Guerrero from Monmouth, our small school player. Now, there's a couple common things for each one of these three guys. One is I haven't seen enough of them yet. They're at the end of the list of guys that I'm working through my tape, but I think they're promising. And two, I think all three of these guys are going to have exceptional combines. Tavian Feaster's going to be 215, 220, has a chance to run the 4.3s. Salvin Ahmed, running the 4.3s. Pete Guerrero, you know what, small school at Monmouth, his tape, the little highlights that I've seen, he is electric. I wouldn't be surprised to see him run 4.4s, 4.3, somewhere in that territory. So for right now, the honorable mentions are going to be kind of like the combine workout warrior guys, and maybe, just maybe, especially Feaster, who I'm really, really interested on, who transferred from Clemson to South Carolina. He could potentially crack my top 10 when all is said and done. But without further ado, jumping into the top 10. At number 10, I have LAMICAL PERINE, 5'11", 220 pounds, out of Florida. Now, we're starting here at day 3. I am a Gator fan. I do like LAMICAL PERINE, but just doesn't really have the production. You know, on just under 2,500 yards, 22 touchdowns. It's caught the ball fairly well, 72 catches, just under 700 receiving yards and 8 receiving touchdowns. Had a really good bowl game, but, I mean, you know, Florida is as running back by committee as things get for college football, so he's never going to have outstanding numbers. But I do think he's a really, really solid running back and could be great value on day 3. He's a power back build, but he has fitness traits. He's the kind of guy that likes to make guys miss in open space, likes to catch the ball in the backfield. He catches it fairly comfortably. The negatives is for 220 pounds, his pass protection is not great. A bunch of times when Felipe Franks would have been dropping back, especially last year, you could just see mental lapse. He's not strong. He's not comfortable in pass protection. And there's a question about his top-end speed. I don't necessarily think he has game-breaking speed. I'm going to guess probably in the 4.5, mid 4.5, somewhere in that territory. But he's a really, really solid running back. My pro comparison for him is Peyton Barber, who is a solid running back, serviceable running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think fits for LAMICAL PERINE right now would be Tennessee, potentially, especially with Derrick Henry going. Maybe Derrick Henry going, or maybe the Chargers adding a power back. These are two programs in Tennessee. Lots of uncertainty between Deion Lewis and Derrick Henry for the future of that. And for the Chargers, both Austin Eckler and Melvin Gordon are set to be free agents. So I think a guy like LAMICAL PERINE, if teams that have to double up on running backs, or maybe you're looking for a little bit more power option, PERINE's your guy. Going to running back number 9, we have Keyshawn Vaughn, 5'10", 215 pounds, out of Vanderbilt. I think, again, he is going to be a day 3 range running back. The positives, he's a one-cut running back, great at initial contact, will make you miss, has enough power that if that first run, if you're not gang tackling him, he can make you look foolish, and especially when he was doing that consistently at the SEC level. I mean, maybe it's just my SEC bias, but I think that is fairly impressive. The negatives, he's a little bit older, 22, 23, when the draft comes out. His pass protection is not a strength of his game, which, I mean, I'm not going to lie, for most of these running backs, pass protection is going to come up as a negative. When a running back really does have good pass protection, it actually adds that much more value to their game because you need to be able to pass pro. And a lot of these running backs are the stars or the feature guys for their college teams. They're not really required to do that. But in the next level, the NFL, you're going to have to. Over Deshaun Vaughn, my pro comparison for a minute is Wayne Gallman. I really did like Wayne Gallman when he was coming out of Clemson. He was Deshaun Watson's running back at Clemson. You see a lot of similar traits there. I think Gallman might have been a little bit more comfortable catching the ball, but I think from a pure runner standpoint, I see a lot of similarities between the two. For Vaughn fits, I think Washington could be a potential fit. They might be losing a couple running backs there. They might just be down to Darius Geis and Bryce Love next year. I think Vaughn could come in, and for a team like Washington that likes to have a nice stable of running backs, that could make sense. Or maybe the Giants. I mean, the Giants could be, like I said, compared to Wayne Gallman, might be wanting to look for an upgrade, a younger Wayne Gallman, and Vaughn could be that guy. Going to running back number 8, we have Eno Benjamin, 5'11", 210 pounds, out of Arizona State. Now we're starting to get into the guys that could potentially, squeak into day 2. I think Eno Benjamin's probably going to be a day 3 guy as well. All these guys are going to be early day 3, however. I'm not saying these guys are going to be like 6th, 7th round. I'm saying like 5th round for sure. But for Eno Benjamin, well-rounded running back. He's really, really experienced in the screen game. A lot of his reception numbers came off of screen passes versus just straight up running routes, which, I mean, is a positive, right? But he had 82 catches, 600 yards, 4 touchdowns for Arizona State. He's young. He's 20. Age is on his side. Anytime you can get a 20-year-old at running back, that is a positive. And pretty much age is always, you'd much rather like the younger players than the older players. Get your mind out of the gutters. Okay? The negatives for Eno Benjamin, he has a little bit of hero run style, which means versus, a guy that's consistently taking what's there, he might consistently try to go into a different gap and lose yards because he thinks, like a deer in the headlights, like, oh my God, I can hit a 70-yard run here. Like, it's always in the back of his head versus just taking what is there. There's positives and negatives to that, but I usually like to side on the side of negativity when it comes to guys that have that hero run style. And for Eno Benjamin, his pass protection is not that great. For a pro comparison, I have Jamal Williams, the second head of that Green Bay Packers two-headed backfield. I think fit for Eno Benjamin would be maybe Carolina. Get that guy, that RB2 for Christian McCaffrey. Or maybe the Rams. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty with that backfield for the Rams. They got, Gurley with his, what does he have? His knees are all messed up. Got arthritis in his knee. That's about as bad as you can get. Bad of an injury, long-term nagging injury you can get for a running back. So I think a guy like Eno Benjamin, especially if he's there in day 3, will be a great fit for either one of those teams. Go to running back number 7, we have Anthony McFarland Jr., 5'9", 200 pounds, out of Maryland. I think he's going to be a day 2, day 3 guy, depending on how well he tests. For the positives, age is on his side. He's a redshirt sophomore, younger player. Now, we talked about Eno Benjamin and his hero run style kind of being a negative. A guy like McFarland's proven to have a home run style. He's a home run hitter. Big, long runs are what was his calling card at the University of Maryland. I think he's great one-on-one, can make you miss, can make you look foolish. Really, really an elusive runner. The negatives, pass pro, again. And I think his vision at the line of scrimmage can sometimes look a little inconsistent. You'll see a lot of times, if you flick on some tape for Maryland, kind of like if the run's not, if he's supposed to go, A gap, 2 gap, bounce outside, and it's not there, it's like that mental processing of what to do at the next stage sometimes seems to get a little choppy, a little inconsistent. Like, he hesitates a little bit. You never want to hesitate as a running back. You always want to be going forward, falling forward. So with McFarland, that's something that I think he definitely can try to improve upon. For his pro comparison, I think Devin Singletary-ish. I actually wouldn't be surprised to see because Singletary was really, really hyped, and then he ran pretty bad. He generally tested not great at the combine. Then he went to Buffalo and actually played very, very well. I think Anthony McFarland, his run style is pretty damn similar to what I saw from Devin Singletary, and I think he actually has a better shot at testing better at the NFL combine. So I think he's definitely a guy that not a lot of people are talking about, but start paying attention. Running back 6, CLYDE Edwards-Helaire, 5'9", 215 from LSU, solidified his stock day 2 for me. You look at the positives, he's your 2020 style of NFL running back, can do it all, can run, can catch. Not terrible at pass pro, even though I'll tell you right now, one of his negatives, pass pro, got to get better at it. But I think he does, everything that you want offensively well at a high enough level, and he's also 20, so he has that huge room to grow versus some of these running backs that are 22, about to be 23. The negatives, I don't think he has top-end speed. I mean, I watched probably as much as him as many of you guys that watch college football, watching LSU play. He just doesn't have that, Q and Gus Johnson, that get away from the cop speed, which, if you're trying to hold a running back out of the first round consideration, out of a top 5 consideration, you're always going to side with the guy that might have that burst, that he simply is the best athlete on the field and more often than not can outrun players, and you don't really get that with Helaire. But for everything else, he is really, really solid. I think he's a guy that, as this offseason progresses, as the combine, all the on-field drills can go forward, we can learn a lot more about him because he kind of came out of nowhere this year for LSU. My pro comparison for him is Kerryon Johnson of the Detroit Lions. And I think Fitz would be Houston or the Chargers. Go to running back number 5. We have Zach Moss, 5'9", 215 out of Utah. Again, another running back that I think is going to be in that day 2 range. With Zach Moss, great power, man. This guy is your bona fide power back. Looks for contact, well-rounded, can catch the ball, can run it in between the tackles, can bounce it outside. Big negative for him is just speed, straight line speed. I see he's one of those guys, if you look at a lot of his highlight runs, you look at any of his big gainers, he's getting caught from behind more often than not from a DB or from a safety, which, it's a little bit frustrating because I really am a huge fan of him. Watching him play, like anytime you get a running back that has that juice, that looks for contact, I'm always going to side as a fan on that prospect. I think Zach Moss is going to be a really, really nice running back in the NFL. Pro comparison for him is Sony Michel of the New England Patriots. And I think Fitz would be potentially New England or Baltimore. Going to running back number 4, it's Cam Akers, 5'11", 220 pounds out of Florida State. I think he's going to be a day 2 player, potential to maybe rise to day 1. If there is going to be day 1 running backs, if I had to look from an outsider, because right now, there's 3 big names that everyone knows. I think Akers could dominate the combine. He's 20. There was reports that when he was doing like his high school work, he was like 4.3 speed as a high school player. And if he still can have that, low 4.4s, high 4.3s at 220, there's a chance, man, he could potentially go day 1. Great athlete, like I said, age. He has a modern skill set, can catch the ball in the backfield. Maybe not the strength of his game, but he's not a liability. He doesn't got a brick for hands, like when everyone was kind of ragging on Leonard Fournette about that when he was coming out of LSU. The negatives for Cam Akers, kind of like we talked about earlier with Benjamin, hero-style runner. Always looks for the big play, maybe more often than what he should versus just taking what's there. So that's something that I personally think he needs to work on. Pro comparison for Cam Akers is Darius Geis, and I think fits for him would be the Jets, especially with the Jets potentially trying to offload Le'Veon Bell, or the Jacksonville Jaguars. Going to running back number 3, we have J.K. Dobbins, 5'10", 215 out of Ohio State. He's going to be a day 1, day 2 pick. For J.K. Dobbins, low center of gravity, very tough to tackle, brings a modern skill set, really, really good patience behind the line of scrimmage, lets plays develop, which is a huge, huge plus. Really, the only negative, pass protection. Pro comparison for J.K. Dobbins, I think it's Dalvin Cook of the Minnesota Vikings. We already kind of talked about that in a video where we did the top 10 pro comparisons for the 2020 draft. I think they look eerily similar. And when you look at someone like Dalvin Cook, who's really emerged as a top 5 running back in the NFL, I think you might be able to get that J.K. Dobbins in the 2nd round. That's going to be tremendous, tremendous value for a team. I think fits for him. Could be Houston, who could be in the market for a new starting running back with Lamar Miller. I think Carlos Hyde's set to be free agent. Or maybe the Miami Dolphins. If the Dolphins spend all 3 of their first-round picks, maybe getting a quarterback, building up their offensive line, then to kick off the 2nd round, get yourself a franchise running back like J.K. Dobbins. Going to running back number 2, we have Jonathan Taylor, 5'11", 220 pounds out of Wisconsin. I think he's a day 1 pick, caliber talent, obviously powerful runner, tremendous vision. I think the best vision in this draft class in general. I think you could probably argue J.K. Dobbins behind the line of scrimmage, finding the gaps that might develop. That's his strength, but just open field vision, everything else encompassing. I think you might have to give that edge to Jonathan Taylor. Elite production as well. This guy was unbelievable at Wisconsin. The negatives could be miles on the tires. He has a lot of wear and tear, a lot of touches at Wisconsin, and I think top end speed is not there. I think he's going to probably run low 4.5s, could sneak into the 4.4s, but I'm thinking a 4.5 runner where, if you're trying to find a negative, he doesn't have 4.3 speed. Everyone wants a running back that has everything and is also really, really fast. And that's not really Jonathan Taylor's game, but I don't think he's slow per se. My pro comparison for him is Nick Chubb, and I remember Nick Chubb ran around that range, 4.49, 4.51, somewhere in that range is what Nick Chubb ran at the combine. It's like they're like relatives. They're like clones of each other. I think Jonathan Taylor, perfect. Like my favorite comp is Jonathan Taylor and Nick Chubb for this year's draft class. Fits for Jonathan Taylor, Miami, or like I said, man, we got to see what happens with the Tennessee Titans and Derrick Henry. I think someone like Jonathan Taylor, if they decide not to re-sign Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor could do a great job there in Tennessee. And my number 1 running back for the 2020 NFL draft is going to be DeAndre Swift, 5'9", 215 pounds out of Georgia. I think he's going to be a day 1 pick. He's your do-it-all running back, and he's a great athlete. He's like the combination of like catch, run between the tackles, run outside. I think he's going to test better at the combine than Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, the other, elite tier 1 runners in the class. He has elite elusiveness, makes you miss in space, makes tacklers look really, really, really dumb. The negatives, he's an aggressive runner. He's really, really powerful, but he's not the biggest back. This is kind of like my big negative when I was talking about Darius Geis coming at LSU, is like his run style in college is like, I'm going to run through everyone. I'm going to try and run through everyone. And that, when you're big power back, if you're Jonathan Taylor, 220, 225, 6 feet tall, that kind of works. And when you're like that Derrick Henry, kind of works. But when you're 5'8", 5'9", 210, 250, like a little shade smaller, it's not going to consistently work at the next level. So that's something that I'm a little bit worrisome about him. But for my pro comparison, I think he's a faster Kareem Hunt. Remember when Kareem Hunt was at the top of his game for the Kansas City Chiefs, he was arguably the second or third best running back in the National Football League. That is the kind of prospect we're dealing with when we're talking about DeAndre Swift. And Fitz, I think Kansas City would be an exceptional landing spot. Obviously, makes the parallels between what Kareem Hunt did for them and what DeAndre Swift brings to the table. Or again, maybe someone like the Miami Dolphins that are in search of just other weapons on that offense. So there you go, guys. Those are my 2.0 running back rankings for the 2020 NFL draft class. As always, if I missed any prospects, am I sleeping on anyone, let me know in the comment section below. If it's your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. And until next time, it's C4 saying peace out, go Chiefs, and I don't really care who wins between the Niners and Packers. Probably the Packers.